I couldn't believe we were finally here. Rachel and I had been talking about this trip for what felt like forever, and now we were actually checking into our hotel in the heart of Sin City. The energy was electric, pulsing through the air like a living thing. As we walked through the lobby, my eyes were drawn to the flashing lights and larger-than-life billboards visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The promise of what awaited us outside those doors had my heart racing. "Can you believe we're really doing this?" I whispered to Rachel, giving her hand a gentle squeeze. She looked up at me, her hazel eyes sparkling with mischief. "I know. I'm still half expecting to wake up and find out it's all a dream." We made our way to the front desk, where a cheerful receptionist greeted us. As she processed our check-in, I couldn't help but notice the way Rachel was taking in our surroundings. Her gaze lingered on a poster advertising one of the more famous strip clubs in the area. "See something you like?" I teased, nudging her playfully. Rachel's cheeks flushed slightly, but she didn't look away from the poster. "Maybe. You did say we were here to explore, right?" I felt a flutter of excitement in my stomach. We talked about visiting a strip club, but I wasn't sure if Rachel would actually want to go through with it. Now, seeing the intrigue in her eyes, I realized this trip might be even more adventurous than I'd anticipated. As we rode the elevator up to our room, the thumping bass from the hotel's nightclub reverberated through the walls. It was barely past sundown, and already the party was in full swing. Rachel leaned against me, her body warm and soft. "So what's the plan for tonight?" she asked, her voice low and sultry. I wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her closer. "Well, I thought we could start with dinner at that fancy steakhouse downstairs. Then maybe hit up one of the casinos, try our luck at the tables." Rachel nodded, but I could tell she was thinking about something else. "And after that?" I grinned, knowing exactly what she was hinting at. "After that, well, I hear there's a pretty famous strip club just down the street. If you're interested, that is." The elevator doors opened, and we stepped out into the hallway. Rachel turned to face me, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. "Oh, I'm definitely interested. But first, let's see what kind of trouble we can get into in our room." As I fumbled with the key card, my hands suddenly clumsy with anticipation, I couldn't help but think that this weekend was going to be one for the books. The city's reputation for uninhibited fun was already living up to the hype, and we hadn't even left the hotel yet. As we stepped into the club, the pulsing music and dazzling lights hit us like a wave. I glanced at Rachel, catching the glimmer of excitement in her eyes. She squeezed my hand and leaned in close. "This is amazing," she shouted over the music. I nodded, grinning. The energy was infectious. We weaved through the crowd, finding 2 empty seats right up against the stage. A statuesque blonde was just finishing her routine, collecting a shower of bills from the front row. "Drinks?" I asked Rachel. "Definitely," she replied, her eyes still glued to the stage. I flagged down a waitress, ordering us both some top-shelf whiskey. When she returned, I handed her a generous tip. "Keep EM coming," I winked. The next dancer took the stage, a petite brunette with legs for days. Rachel leaned forward, captivated. I pulled out a wad of singles, handing half to Rachel. "Here," I said. "Let's make it rain." Rachel's face lit up as she took the bills. When the dancer came our way, we both started tossing singles onto the stage. The dancer blew us a kiss, and Rachel actually blushed. As the night wore on, we kept the drinks and tips flowing. The dancers seemed to gravitate towards us, giving us extra attention. As the night progressed, I could feel the alcohol warming my veins, loosening us both up. Rachel was absolutely glowing under the club lights, her dark brown hair cascading over her shoulders like a silky waterfall. I couldn't take my eyes off her. "You look amazing," I leaned in close, my lips brushing her ear. She turned to me with a mischievous grin. "I feel amazing. This is so much fun." I'd always admired Rachel's confidence in her professional life as a doctor, but tonight there was a different energy about her. More playful, more daring. The music changed, and a new dancer took the stage. She was mesmerizing, her body moving in perfect rhythm to the pulsing beat. As she twirled and dipped, her eyes scanned the crowd. Suddenly, they locked onto Rachel. The dancer's sultry smile widened as she made her way to the edge of the stage. Without breaking eye contact, she extended her hand to Rachel. My heart started racing. Rachel glanced at me, a mix of excitement and uncertainty in her eyes. I nodded, giving her an encouraging smile. That was all she needed. Without hesitation, Rachel took the dancer's hand and followed her onto the stage. The crowd erupted in cheers and whistles. I felt a surge of pride and something else. Excitement? Arousal? Probably both. "Go, Rachel," I shouted, clapping along with everyone else. On stage, Rachel looked a bit nervous at first, but the dancer whispered something in her ear that made her laugh. Then, as if a switch had been flipped, my wife transformed before my eyes. The neon lights flickered over Rachel's face as the dancer guided her to a chair just left of center stage. Her gaze locked onto mine for a heartbeat, and I could see the mix of trepidation and thrill shining in her hazel eyes. My heart pounded in rhythm, with the bass thumping through the speakers, every beat resonating in my chest. Rachel's fingers twitched as the dancer began her sensuous performance, every movement calculated to heighten the anticipation. A roar of applause erupted from the crowd, and I saw Rachel bite her lip, her face flushed with a mixture of excitement. Her eyes sparkled, darting between the dancer and the lively crowd, savoring their hungry gazes. And then, another dancer joined in. They moved in perfect coordination. The room buzzed with a charged energy, every second stretching longer as the dress inched lower. My grip on the edge of the table tightened. It felt like an electric current ran through us all, binding Rachel, the dancers, me, and the crowd in a spontaneous symphony of raw desire. With every passing moment, the tension grew, the dancers expertly playing with Rachel. The anticipation was tantalizing. Just then, her bra strap slipped, and free her bomb-bombs. The club erupted into a wild cacophony of cheers and whistles. Rachel's eyes widened initially, but then a grin curled on her lips. The gleam in her eyes was pure exhilaration. There she was, my confident, composed doctor, relishing the attention in a way I'd never seen before. As the dancers continued their teasing, the crowd's reaction reached a fever pitch. Rachel stood up gracefully and glanced over at me, her eyes seeking something, a nod, an affirmation. I met her gaze and nodded eagerly, my own excitement mounting. She twirled, her hips swaying beautifully to the pulsating rhythm. The energy in the club was almost overwhelming, every jeer and cheer syncing with the unforgiving beat of the music. Finally, she was standing without clothes under the spotlight, every eye in the room glued to her. The mixture of wonder and fun was evident in her movements as she started to dance, her confidence growing with each step. As she approached my side of the stage, her eyes locked onto mine once more. The guy behind me muttered a stunned, "Holy fuck." And it perfectly captured the collective awe of the entire audience. Nothing could have prepared me for this moment. Watching Rachel own the stage, driving everyone including me wild with her uninhibited display, melded excitement with an unforgettable kind of pride and awe. Every touch from the dancers, every cheer from the crowd seemed to embolden her more. The song ended with a heavy bass drop, and the DJ's voice boomed through the speakers. "Let's give it up for Rachel," everyone he shouted, using her real name. The crowd roared in appreciation, their applause echoing off the walls. She stood on the stage for a moment, her face glowing with a mixture of pride and exhilaration. Two dancers led her off, picking up the scattered singles from the stage floor. I watched her disappear behind the curtain, feeling a surge of pride. Turning back to the table, I took a few deep breaths, trying to steady my racing heart. Moments later, she emerged from backstage, fully dressed but with a newfound swagger. Her eyes found mine, igniting a burn that matched my own desire. She made her way back to me, like a queen returning to her throne. Leaning down, she whispered in my ear, "Take me back to the hotel, now." I needed. Her voice dripped with urgency. We didn't waste a second. We practically walked out of the club. The night air hit us with a refreshing chill, but it did nothing to cool the fire raging inside us. The city's neon lights painted our path back to the hotel, a kaleidoscope of color reflecting our heightened emotions. "Jesus, Rachel. That was incredible," I managed, my voice rough with desire as we approached the hotel entrance. Wasn't it just her smile was wicked, lips trembling with suppressed laughter, and yet her eyes remained serious, burning with need. "I can't stop thinking about your face when you watched me." As soon as we reached our room, Our hands were everywhere, tearing at each other's clothes. The door barely clicked shut behind us. We crashed into the bed, a frenzy of limbs and heat. I realized she was doing the same, holding on to me as if I was her anchor. We moved together, an unspoken rhythm taking over. The image of her on stage, owning the spotlight, danced behind my eyes, fueling me. The world outside ceased to exist. Afterwards, we lay entwined, catching our breath, stars still swimming in my vision. Her head rested on my chest, my fingers drawing lazy circles on her back. The silence was comfortable, a testament to the bond that tonight had forged even stronger. We both knew tonight had ignited something new, something exhilarating. Without more words, we drifted into a satisfied sleep, bodies still tangled from the night's passion.